If you've ever felt like you were too broken, too burned out, or just too real to belong in the spiritual world, our guest today is about to change your mind and maybe even change your life. Meet Lauren Courtney, a true force of healing, humor, and heart. She's an intuitive, channel, energy healer, Kundalini yoga instructor, holistic health coach, and yes, chakra chef. But more than that, she's your cosmic big sister and spiritual hype woman with a no BS vibe that feels like truth wrapped in glitter. Lauren's journey began in the grit of New York and led her to a powerful awakening after the heartbreaking loss of her first love. That pain cracked her wide open and revealed a calling to help others reconnect to who they really are through energy, intuition, and soul level glow ups. And trust me, I had the full Lauren Courtney experience. I had a glow up session with Lauren that absolutely blew my mind. I received energy healing and messages that were exactly what I didn't even know I needed. Her ability to connect and guide with such precise and care, beyond. Lauren's new book, Glow Up Your Chakras from Medicated to Meditated, is a raw, real, and surprisingly hilarious guide to healing from the inside out. Whether you're brand new to chakras or already living in your healing era, Lauren's here to help you remember who the hell you are. Let's glow. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
And Robyn, I'm just saying, I know some are listening on the podcast, but you are glowing today. I can see your energy is just so vibrant because you just had your session yesterday with Lauren. So I can't wait
I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. It was intense and so good, like intense in the best way. I know we cleared things out and I felt really good right after and
Well,
really thirsty, which I was telling Lauren.
let's talk to you right after because I wasn't able to go and I wanted to hear how it went. Lauren, she was on fire. I couldn't get a word in edgewise. She was just like, and it was so good. And I saw all these things. It's been a minute since I've really heard you, Robyn. So fired up. We'll get into it in a little bit, but I'm just excited to hear how the session went.
Glow up is real. The
The
glow
glow
Yeah,
up
well,
is
we're going to get to
real.
even how you even came up with Glow Up, but let's start with how you went from a glam job in NYC to becoming a full-blown energy healing practitioner and spiritual guide. So take us back to when everything started to shift. How did this happen?
Yeah, I guess it would be around 2007. I was working in entertainment and ended up needing to take a leave of absence to have reconstructive jaw surgery. It was my third surgery in a series of jaw surgeries, which I get into all of that in my book. I won't take you that far back. But I needed to take a leave of absence. And while I was out, I just had this awareness that I wasn't happy because I felt happy being home. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't feel anxious. I didn't understand that I was an empathic being at that point in time. So I ended up doing something I never imagined. And I left the job that I was at to get a more sustainable job, which was not that at all because I left for a PR company from entertainment to public relations. And the PR job was in healthcare and financial services. So I was like, those are really boring topics. I'm not going to have to work long hours for that. I did. And the long hours spilled over into drinks with coworkers and more negativity. And to shorten a long story, which of course I write about in the book in more detail, I had this inner knowing when I went back to work that I was here to help people heal. And I had no idea what that meant. It started really as a whisper, and that whisper guided me to starting a food blog. I'd go to the farmer's market, I'd try different vegetables, I'd write about them. And then the next thing I knew, I was angry and bitter about spending so much money on lunches that weren't that good. So I started making my own. And coworkers started asking me to make them lunches. And then the universe intervened again and I broke my foot. And that's a whole fun story. Dancing in a bat mitzvah. Always a good time when there's a vat galush. And I broke my foot and ended up taking a leave of absence from that job. And that was the last time I worked in corporate America. So this is like maybe 13 years ago already. And that leave of absence got me to really take a leap of faith on myself. I enrolled in school to become a holistic health coach. I got a part-time job as a nanny while I was going through school. And then from there, I connected with a friend at the time, her boyfriend at the time, who was in recovery and had friends opening high-end recovery homes in Manhattan. So I ended up working as a private chef for clients recovering from food, drug, and alcohol addiction. I literally went from making reservations to making dinner for 10 people regularly with no formal skills. I really simply taught myself from this inner whisper, you're here to help people heal. And that journey continued on. I spent about 2.5 years working in different high-end recovery homes as a chef. I started working with clients recovering from food, drug, and alcohol addiction, also on the coaching front, not only as a chef. And then from there, I started my own company. So in my hours off, when I left nannying, I started seeing one-on-one clients. Then I eventually left working in the recovery homes to start my own meal delivery service, work more on my blog, do food styling. And I had enrolled in school to expand my business. I had a snack line called Amazeballs. They were all around New York City, from the editors at Condé Nast to the fitness instructors at Barry's. It was everywhere. Banks, like all of these random places. And I went back to school to understand how to scale a food business. I had never planned to be a chef. This was not in my repertoire, and I was maxed out and needed help. And as I was wrapping up that program, so this is now back in 2016, at the same time, my best friend and first love passed away. And the day he crossed over, my whole life changed. And I started to even further recognize you are here to help people heal. And I ended up at that point in time spending about 6 more months cooking. I never ended up scaling that business. I actually then found Holy Fire Reiki. I moved out to California and really deepened my own self-healing journey that I didn't even know I was on, because ultimately that message of you are here to help people heal first had to start with you are here to heal yourself so you can help other people heal.
I was literally thinking that as you were talking your way through this, how like all of these physical experiences were really leading you on a journey.
Yeah.
And yet, Lauren, you clearly were following your intuition, because so many people that I know would have stayed at that PR firm because that was the safety net for a single woman living in New York, especially when you have the aspiration to become a healer. It would be very safe to stay in that job. And yet you always had the faith in yourself, it feels, to actually follow through. Where did that come from? And how do you define your own intuition and your intuitive gifts?
Well, I think, as you said it, I think my ability to take leaps comes from having parents who are very entrepreneurial in their own regards. My mom, I've seen her take leaps and go to different jobs throughout my lifetime and try out different careers and really embody them and just do the thing. And my father also is an entrepreneur and works for himself. And I've always seen that around me. I remember being a kid, I was like a day off from school or something and asking if I could go to work and make money, and my dad would let me go and cut coupons. And if I stacked X amount of coupons, I'd make money. So I always liked working because I always found it fun in the ways that I got to do things. So I think by nature, I have an entrepreneurial spirit, though I never imagined my entrepreneurial spirit taking me to the places where it took me, because it's not something I ever saw modeled by anyone, quite frankly. Even when I woke up to my mediumship, I didn't know anyone like me. And it's ultimately why I chose to do this work, because I didn't want people to feel alone on their spiritual awakening journey. So I remember saying to God, if I get through this, I will help others go through their spiritual relearning. Because it's not so much an awakening as it is a relearning of who we are.
Totally. And what did that look like for you? What did waking up to your mediumship skills look like? Had you always had those types of experiences?
And for people who are listening, going from like intuition to then all of a sudden waking up and feeling mediumship, what did that look like and feel like?
Yeah, and who did you tell?
How many questions?
So even my intuition, I didn't understand I was being intuitively guided. It's funny, my sister has been reading my book, and as she's reading it, it's so interesting to read your story and see that you were always following your intuition and being guided, even when you didn't know. And it's almost like until I wrote the story, and I think for so many of us, until we look at our lives backwards and reverse, we don't understand why certain things are leading us. So we have a blindfold over our third eye, and we're being blindly led through this dark forest until we're like, okay, you know what? It's time for me to see where I'm actually going. So for me, I think I was being so blindly led throughout my life that when my mediumship came on, because I don't remember having spiritual gifts as a child. I talk about a few experiences as a kid that happened, but I didn't understand they were connected to spirituality and gifts. I just thought I was crazy. But when my gifts came on, it was the day that Jeff passed away. And I got a call that morning. And later in the day, I was with girlfriends. It was July 4th weekend. We were down at the Jersey Shore. They were like, you have to eat. We went downstairs to this pizza place. And I just ordered a salad, and the place was pretty full, like that kind of weekend in the Jersey Shore. And I was just standing off in the corner, and I remember it so vividly. And my two girlfriends were to my left, and I don't think anyone knew what to say to me. And all of this sudden, I heard the radio change, and it was almost like I could hear the frequency. It was like someone was turning the dial, and I could hear the dial turn, and the Real Slim Shady came on. This was 2016, so it was not Eminem's most popular song in 2016. We're like 2001. But Jeff and I used to go to all of the Eminem shows together. That was our concert. He was our guide. That's who we would see together. And when the song came on, the whole left side of my body had chills. And I was like, what the actual fuck is going on? You're standing here with me. And I'd never experienced something like that level. And I wasn't willing to deny it. Because at this moment, I was 32 years old. This was my best friend and first love since I was 16 years old. And we were still close as ever. And we had been on a journey to be able to be that close again. And I couldn't accept that he was gone. What does that even mean? I had only buried grandparents at that point in time, and it was like, they're old, they're dead, they live in this box now. That was as far as I even perceived things. I didn't even consider what happened after. There was no like life after death. And now there is so much of that. That was how my mediumship awakened. And for the next week, I sat Shiva with his family every day. And every day there were signs after signs. I talk about it in the book a little more, what kind of signs were coming up, but like music, coins, feathers, numbers, all of the things. And within a few months after his passing, I felt this intuitive nudge to learn Reiki, and I didn't really know what that was. And then my sister and I had an experience over my grandmother's 90th birthday where I placed my hand on her shoulder because she asked me to. It was bothering her, and quite honestly, I was high at the time, and I was like, okay, sure, like whatever. You're so annoying, but I'll do it. And all of a sudden, my hand got so hot. And I couldn't explain it. I didn't understand what it was. And she told me, don't move your hand, whatever it is. It feels really good. It feels you're fixing me. I don't remember what happened. A few minutes later, I pulled away my hand and cracked my fingers. And I've always had this kind of lightning that runs through my fingers, but I didn't understand it until this moment. And I cracked my fingers, and then I passed out. I went to sleep. I
Wow.
woke up the next morning and went to watch the sunrise. And my sister turned to me and said, my shoulder doesn't hurt. And I looked at her, I was like, what are you talking about? She's from last night. You put your hand on my shoulder. I didn't even remember because I was running so much energy, and I was being high at that moment allowed me to relax, to do what was being guided. And within 2 weeks, someone reached out to me and told me that they had a Reiki healer that they thought I'd be interested in meeting. So I started to be guided, right? My intuition started to get stronger. I was paying more attention. And then mediumship isn't just about I speak to dead people, I channel spirits. Mediumship is I'm in communication with all people, places, things, nature, trees, animals, etc. Like we're just in communication and we're the medium, the channel for whatever the thing is. So that's how it began. And then once I moved to LA, I found Holy Fire Reiki. Through that, my mediumship became even clearer with crows talking to me on the street, like actual crows
Huh.
were communicating with me in Santa Monica. And I thought I was absolutely insane. Quite honestly, my parents thought I was going crazy and questioned my sanity. And now here we are. They're so proud of me that I'm an author. They're like, thank God she wasn't crazy. She built a successful business and wrote a book and helps people every day. Who would have thought? But that's the reality when you're going through these things and no one's ever done it and you haven't seen it before. And that's why it became so important for me to help other people.
Holy moly.
I need to ask, what is Holy Fire Reiki? Karen and I have talked to hundreds of people about Reiki, but I've never heard of that specific type,
Sounds really intense.
which is what I experienced it. So that's why I need to understand it.
Actually, it's so Karuna Reiki is the Reiki of compassionate action, Holy Fire Karuna Reiki. And Holy Fire Reiki is simply, to me, the best way to explain it is like the Reiki of love. It's this most beautiful frequency of love. And they say that it was brought to the people of the earth at this time, us, by Jesus and the ascended masters. Because at the beginning and end of the day, no one is coming to save us. And we have to save ourselves and we get to become our greatest healers. Growing up Jewish, we didn't talk much about Jesus. And I'm grateful because I have no preconceived notions around Jesus and God. And I don't have, thankfully, any religious trauma, which I think has been very helpful for me finding this specific Reiki because I work with Jesus and the Ascended Masters every day in understanding that Jesus told us we are meant to heal ourselves, that we're better healers than Jesus himself, right? And that we all have these gifts. So I'm over here reminding myself every day that I'm my greatest healer. And I've taught hundreds of people Holy Fire Reiki as well. And I get to remind all of them that they are their own greatest healer because that's truly what it's about. So it's a beautiful frequency. It was founded, I believe, in 2014 or 2015. So it is a part of the International Center for Reiki Training. It is approved and accredited and all of those things for those that look for that kind of information. With that, I do Holy Fire Reiki and I'm a Karuna Reiki master. And I think it's so important to note that, again, it's a relearning. It's a tool that helped me remember parts of myself. It's a tool that helped me get back into sound healing and working with frequency. It's a tool that helped me then eventually study with a shaman who helped me learn how to do soul retrievals. It's a tool that helped me get back into my body to work with someone who specializes in body work to understand the meridians and organs. Reiki for me was my gateway. This was my gateway into spirituality and the journey that it was going to set me on.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time and how it's this calling. And once you receive it, especially if you are being called to be a healer of some kind, that it does something to you. It almost like it's an unlocking experience that
Absolutely.
opens you up to everything else. So many of the practitioners we've had on the podcast and that we know started that way and literally found a path, found themselves. And like you said, it was like a relearning, a remembering of something that intuitively they always knew.
Yeah. And the thing about Holy Fire that's different than traditional Asui Reiki is in traditional Asui Reiki, when you're ignited as a teacher and brought into the lineage, the teacher draws the symbol on your hands or your shoulders or both. I can't quite remember. In Holy Fire Reiki, the teacher is actually not involved. So I guide you through a meditation type of experience where you're connected directly to source. And what I love about that is the teacher does not influence your channel and what you're receiving. And I think there's something really powerful about that and special. And what I love, and I always remind people in trainings, is I hope you are more powerful than me. I hope you're a better healer than me. Please, please access all of your gifts in the ways that you are meant to access them in this lifetime for the highest good of the planet. So I love that I am simply a channel and a vessel that is holding the space for someone else to advance to their highest self. And with that, because there's a lot of things right now out in the world, like Kundalini activation, where you're pushing energy through someone. What I like is with Holy Fire, I'm not pushing the energy through you and it's on your own. So you actually are in that connection that your body will decide how much, how fast, how slowly do I want this to come in? How quickly do I want this to come in? How quickly or slowly am I going to integrate? So for me, I'm someone that was like, I want it all. I want it fast. I want it now. Not even consciously, right? That's just my soul's journey and mission. So I've had some clients come in and it's okay, like the Spiral Express, here we go. Like we are in the vortex. And then there's other people that it's slow and steady and gradual and beautiful. And there is no right or wrong way. It's simply your way and your experience based on your soul. Some people are going to be like, I'm quitting my job. I'm becoming a healer, like blah, blah. That's me. I'm going to do that. And other people, you know what? I'm going to take my time. It's going to be gentle. And that's beautiful. And then there's seasons for both, I think, for everyone as well.
The way you explain that is so different. I feel like it's like you're helping people really tune into themselves.
Yes, very much. And that is the whole point. And what I think Karen and I always find, and you're just expressing it in such a beautiful way, is that everybody, all the different practitioners that we encounter and trust, and all of that make it their own. And what you're explaining and how this is even brought to someone and activating someone is really special because there isn't a set way that it needs to activate within you. I think that's really different.
And I think people also need to hear that too, that when they go for a session, it is going to be really unique for them.
That's right.
Like, you can't expect to always walk away and be lit up from the inside out if they're not ready for that experience.
Which leads to, let's talk about your glow up sessions. Where did the term glow up come from and what does that mean to you in what you've created?
Yeah, so it's funny because Glow Up Your Chakras started as a group coaching program. It was based in these 14 sound healings that I created after a really shitty summer at 35 years old, where I was questioning, why had I just left LA and moved to Miami? Why is my life falling apart again? I thought there was only one dark night of the soul. Not true. Many dark nights, many bright days, but many dark nights. And I came home from this horrible trip to Spain, and it was beautiful because I needed to go through it, but horrible. And I started recording sound healings for myself. And I didn't really have a plan. I didn't know necessarily what I was creating. I just started recording, and I was literally recording them on my phone, on my voice memos. And the next thing I knew, I had 14 sound healings, 7 activations for each chakra, 7 healings for each chakra. And then I was guided to sit with them for a while. And I probably spent a month, 2 months, maybe even longer, healing myself with these sound healings, asking myself different questions, journaling. And then one morning I got the download that I needed to offer it to groups. And it wasn't called Glow Up Your Chakras yet. I actually named it The Guru in You. And that was what I launched the first round as, The Guru in You, because it was all about becoming the guru, right? Becoming that person for yourself. And this was before people were like really coaching in the way coaching is around now. So even social media, like I didn't make it all pretty and there was no like big thing around it. But I started doing some searching on Instagram and I saw someone had written a book called The Guru in You when I was halfway through the program. I was like, oh God, I can't use this name. What if I get in trouble?
I hear you. We would have thought the same thing.
I had no idea. I didn't know like you could just ask a lawyer or someone. And anyway, but it was all meant to be. Because I started asking myself, what is this actually supposed to be called? And intuitively, it became Glow Up Your Chakras. So, Glow Up Your Chakras lived on for about 6 rounds as a live group coaching program. I also saw one-on-one clients and would take them through an 8-week experience. We would start at the root chakra, go all the way to the crown chakra, and have the healing experience that they were seeking or didn't even know they were seeking. And then eventually, during maybe 2020, that live program became my first online coaching program. So it became Glow Up Your Chakras, a sound healing and journaling program that you can access and do weekly through my website and things like that. And I thought, this is it. Now, like, it lives on. But no, the universe had other plans, and
there's more.
it kept evolving. So my grandmother passed 3 years ago, and I went through yet another dark night, not thinking there would be another one. And it led me to writing this book. And at the same time that I started writing this book, I was also guided to do a 52-week program. And it was in 2024, I did the 52-week glow up. And every Monday, either at 12 p.m. or at 8 p.m., I met with, it was about 35 women in the group. And every week we either did hot seat coaching or energy healing or a little bit of both. I only missed 1 week because I was out of the country, but I made up for it plenty of times. So I showed up for 52 weeks. And from those 52 weeks, what was born was Glow Up Your Chakras, the book.
So again, you really did the work. That's what I love. You did it within your own self. And then you did it through all these different experiences. Those lucky gals who got a chance to do that.
I know. And we're going to get into the book and into talking about chakras. But I also want to just talk about your glow up sessions that you offer.
Robyn, is that what you experienced?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. So talk about, because I know what we did talk about at the end of the session is that for every person, it's slightly different. You somewhat channel what you need to offer to that person, matching them and where they are on their soul journey.
Exactly. Even when we got on the call yesterday, I said, I'm not sure what you're seeking, but I don't really need to know. And that's the truth. Some people will come to me and they're seeking something specific. Maybe they feel blocked in romance. Maybe they feel blocked in career. Maybe they're simply striving for something, or maybe they've got a health condition and they don't know what's going on and no one can figure out what's going on with their gut because they think it's food related, but really they're giving their power away to everyone else outside of themselves. Could be related to anything, right? Sexual trauma, past lifetime, all of the things you inherited from your ancestors. So really no session looks the same because I'm never doing the exact same thing for anyone because we're all different souls having a human experience. So what I do is simply open myself up to be a channel for healing. So with some clients, typically all sessions do start with some conversation, what's going on. I start to be able to feel into your energy. You get more relaxed. And then from that relaxed space, I know what direction we need to move in, whether we're going to do soul retrieval work and I'm going to guide you through a meditation, whether we're going to do Reiki and I'll take you through an experience and I'll be chanting and toning and singing. And if I have my sound bowls, maybe I'll use some sound bowls. If we're going to do some timeline therapy, if there's something going on from a past lifetime, that I'm going to bring you above that timeline to see what happened so we can integrate it to properly transmute what happened to make sense in this lifetime. So really, I'm trained in many modalities and I just let them all come together as I open myself up. Whatever wants to come through will come through. And sometimes, for instance, I was leading a guided meditation experience a few days ago for a book signing, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to guide this meditation through. And as soon as I tuned in, I knew exactly what we were doing. We were doing an upgrade for each of the chakras, and I just let it be guided because I've allowed myself to let go of the need to control knowing what I'm supposed to be doing. I even said to my dad this morning, I was like, this is what I know. And then I paused and I was like, nothing. It's like, what? I was like, all I know is I know nothing. I know nothing. Forget what I was going to say because I actually know nothing. And I think that's like the best place we can get to because I'm so teachable and I'm so open to receiving information as opposed to always trying to know, because I know still to this day, if I'm sitting in a group and we're going around for introductions and I'm going to be the last to go or somewhere in the middle, I'm like thinking about, oh my God, what am I going to say? I think that's so common for anyone. Oh God, what am I going to say? Oh my God, I'm so nervous. And then you miss being present with what other people are
1,000%.
saying.
Yes.
So that's like a conscious thing where I'm aware that I do that. So it's okay if I'm aware that I consciously do that at times, where else am I doing that in my life? And can I pull back more? So I know when I used to do client sessions way at the beginning, I always wanted someone to have a takeaway, because of that human experience of, oh, I need messages or I need something I can give people. So I used to do these like crystal prescriptions, and I would write down like what crystal you should get and what aromatherapy, and here was your message and here's your mantra. And it was so cute, right? And it was so kitschy, and it was so my ego that wanted to provide this thing. So now when I do sessions, I am not putting pressure on anyone or anything to come through. I'm not putting pressure on messages to come through. I'm simply holding space for healing, transmutation, alignment for the highest good of the client. And if there are any messages or things that I'm guided to share at the end, I do. And there are some times where there is absolutely nothing for me to share, and I get to be okay with that. And I get to trust this isn't about me. This is the experience this person needs to have, which I got to get comfortable with, because egos are like, where's the thing? Like, where are the notes? Like, how do I know what to do now? You already know what to do. You already knew before you got here. I'm just reminding you. So I'm simply allowing space for that glow up to happen, which essentially is attuning your intuition, it's turning all of the lights back on within yourself so you can get the answers within.
Wow.
I was really fortunate for my soul because I think I got the combination of several different things. And so I definitely received the healing. And I was taken on a journey myself. And I know not everybody is going to be able to see and feel and express that after what they were feeling or seeing. And I saw so much, and it stayed with me. And I was receiving the healing. And then there were messages that came through to Lauren. A lot of it aligned so much with what I saw and felt, which is also very validating. But then it was beyond that. And so I now have certain things that I'm going to incorporate into my daily routine that I think are just going to continue to be a glow up for me and my journey here and what I'm here to do. And so I'm so grateful. I can understand what you're saying. For every person, that's going to be different.
Like some people, I might say, here's a 40-day Kundalini Kriya to do. Here's a 40-day meditation to do. And then again, right, it's up to someone to do it. And something new I decided I'm going to start doing for anyone that does book a glow up session is giving them a month inside of my glow up portal, which is my community where we do 2 live Reiki calls a month. And then there's also access to my Glow Up Your Chakras sound healing program, my Glow Up Your Aura, Glow Up Your Business, and Glow Up Your Organs program. So you can keep doing a little work being in that integration space with me. And then if you decide you want to stay longer, great. And if you don't, great. I always remind my clients, like, everything is free will. Live your life. I am not the only healer that exists. I am not the only answer. I don't have all the answers. If I don't know something, I might have someone I can refer you to. That is one of my big things. If you meet someone, they're like, I have all the answers, run away.
I, again, could not agree more.
Yeah, I love that confidence that you have of that you will get the information that you need to relay to someone else, but they too can tune into that. Can we just talk a minute about chakras for people who have heard a lot about chakras, maybe don't believe in chakras? Like that's clearly the heart of what you do. Can you talk about why it's so important and why that's so important to us as individuals to understand, and then why it's so important to you?
Yeah. So chakras are not made up. They're not make believe. They're as real as our bodies are. So we have our physical body, really easy to understand. We have organs. So we also have our energetic body and our spiritual body. So this is where our chakras lie. And the chakras are also connected to our meridians and organs, and it all works cohesively together. So to understand, our chakras are our energy centers. So we have 7 main energy centers, but hundreds of more. This book only taps into the 7 main energy centers, starting at the base of our spine, our root chakra, coming up to the sacral chakra, right below the belly button, our creative center, up to our solar plexus, the center of the belly, our power center, the heart chakra, of course, the heart, self-love, compassion. We've got the throat chakra, the ability to speak our truth, the third eye, intuition, and the crown chakra, our connection to source. So we have these main energy centers, and each one is affected ultimately throughout our life. I was actually reading something recently that talked about the time periods for each chakra, and ages 0 to 7 is really about the root chakra. It's where our safety and security come from, and the unconscious mind is forming during those first 7 years. At also when our root chakra is becoming grounded and stabilized for ultimately the rest of our lives. So for many of us, for good and bad, many of us have something traumatic that happened in our childhood. Whatever it looks like. For me, I recently learned I have a tongue tie. I was colic as a baby. I grew up having jaw problems. We could go into that, but that will be the next book. But my point is, sometimes it's not just big trauma. There's also these little traumas that go unknown. So this tongue tie since birth has actually affected my nervous system throughout my whole life. So I was constantly seeking substances that would comfort me, whether that was drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping, a workout, sucking my thumb, whatever. I was seeking that comfort. I'm like, how did I even get here? How did I even get here? The chakras. So my point is, oh my God, we can go everywhere. We have these energy centers that are deeply affected in all different ways. So it starts there. As we get older, it works our way up. So the next thing you know, you're 14 years old, you're still creative, you're still fun loving, and then you get shot down. Oh, your art project only got a C, and now you're turning off that energy because you don't think you have the ability to create well. And then the next thing you know, you're 18 and you're acting promiscuously because you're simply trying to feel that same feeling of creativity, which lives in the same center as the sensuality. So I can get like all multi-layered in so many ways, but ultimately it's about glowing up your energy centers, understanding your energy centers. And as I said to my mom, she asked me, is there a lot in the book on chakras? How do I explain this to my friends? God bless my mom. Love her so much. She's the best. And I said, Mom, it's like chakra light. You're going to get a lot of stories. It's going to make sense, and you're not going to feel overwhelmed. There's a lot of books that I've read that have put me to sleep because it's too much information, and my brain doesn't process information necessarily the same way that it processes a young adult novel. I could read a young adult novel and understand everything and be visualizing the show, and then I can read something about the unconscious mind and be passed out within 4 pages because the density. So I'd like to say my book is like chakras for young adults. But for all ages.
And you just even have to look at it. You can tell it's incredible. And can you just talk a little bit about all of the ways that you've infused different elements into it? It's what we like to say, it's educate, entertain, and inspire is what we do with All Things Seeking Center. And that's what you've done with this book. You've been talking a little bit about it, but it really does infuse chakras, journaling, recipes. Can you explain?
Yeah.
How did you make it fun?
So there are 4 parts of the book. Part 1 is from Medicated to Meditated, where you really get to learn more about me, my story. It's hilarious and sad and hilarious. And then part 2 is Glow Up Your Chakras, where I'm still diving into storytelling, only now the storytelling is focused on the highs and lows of the chakras and how to understand when your chakra is aligned and when it may be not so aligned, vibrating at a lower frequency, turning in in the wrong direction, however you want to view it. And I talk more about that in the book. And then at the end of each section for each chakra, there are some tools. So the tools, there are essential oils to work with, crystals to work with. There's an activation that you can repeat to yourself to move the energy and transmute energy for yourself. There's a list of foods to eat for every chakra, because there's a lot in this section as well on eating for your intuition and how to digest life with ease. Because so much of the stuff we don't digest in this life isn't only about the food we eat, and it also is. So I should talk about that a bit more, which I think is a conversation that I hope I'm simply starting this conversation to be happening more. Because when someone comes to me and says, I've had Crohn's disease for X amount of years, or I've had gastric issues and no one knows what's wrong, no one can help me, or all of a sudden I have these problems and I think it's my hormones, and we get to the bottom of it. Sure, sometimes it is medical, and I won't take away medical, and sometimes it is spiritual. Sometimes it is energetic, sometimes it is emotional, right? Like, I know that the issues I've had in my past when I've had acid reflux aren't because I had acid reflux because I was eating pizza all the time, which, yes, that's true, but that was the symptom for the underlying issue of that I wasn't actually digesting life and the people in my life at that time. And I was trying to stuff everything down instead of deal with the reality. So the more I tried to stuff things down, the more it kept gurgling up, and the sicker and sicker I was getting, even if I wasn't eating actual food. It was like, you should check on your friends, because those are not people that support you in this life. And quite honestly, those people aren't even in my life anymore, where I used to get the acid reflux from, because it wasn't for my highest good. So sometimes it's being willing to look at the relationships in addition to the food and all of those things. So I talk about that in section 2. And then section 3 is the chakra chef. So originally this book was going to be Glow Up Your Chakras, the cookbook. And the cookbook took a very big turn as I went deeper into the last dark night of my soul after my grandmother's passing. When I was guided to start writing again, I was also guided to start cooking again. I was guided to take a Kundalini yoga teacher training. And I talk more in section 4 about that in the afterword. But section 3 is a compilation of recipes from me starting to cook again, as well as recipes from my old meal delivery service, client favorites, things like that. Section 4 is the afterword, where I talk about what happened as I went on the writing journey. And then I share my tools and resources and ways that you can work with me at the end.
Sounds like so much information. Can I just ask 2 questions on that? I'm just thinking about people who've had lifetime health issues. Are you saying that there's an opportunity for them to really look at their chakra system?
Yes. For me, what I know to be true, what I've learned is we create dis-ease. And listen, I don't think it's good or bad, because I think it's all information, and the dis-ease that we create in our body is showing up to teach us something. So I think if someone could say to me, like, why would I manifest having cancer, whatever it is? And ultimately, I don't know the reason. We could get into that. What is the reason that you manifested this? Because it can be 100 different reasons. Ultimately, though, you manifested it. So for me, it's okay if I can make peace with the fact that I manifested this dis-ease into my life for one reason or another. That I may not be conscious to it yet, and that may make me angry at first. I've manifested it. So why did I manifest it? And then getting to the root of that. Like, for me, I had 3 jaw surgeries. I had jaw surgery when I was 17, when I was 21, and when I was 24, I ultimately had my jaw broken and rubber banded shut for 8 weeks. I've still dealt with some level of pain throughout the rest of my life. Is it as bad as what I once experienced? No, but I believe on some level it's held me back. I haven't really understood why that is, but it's something I got really curious about, because I clearly manifested this for some reason. So in the last 8 months, because of my curiosity, because of all the work I've done over the last decade, because I've chosen this healing journey and asked myself, why did I create this dis-ease? It led me to discovering that I have a tongue tie, which now in 2 weeks, I'm having this tongue tie released. The tongue tie is directly connected to my birth and when I came into this world, and that my tongue was tied down and that I wouldn't have full access to my voice in this lifetime and that I don't breathe properly. So understanding that makes so much sense because I know based on my human design, based on my gene keys, my purpose in this lifetime is to intoxicate people with my words. So I created all of these hurdles for myself to ultimately ascend in this lifetime to get to that place. And I could have easily just stayed stuck in the matrix and the trap, but I chose to like, oh, mouse trap. Like I literally, right? I like could have stayed the mouse, like, oh, but I found the cheese. Oh, but I found the cheese. Keep getting stuck. And I was like, no, I'm not going to choose to get stuck. And I know a lot of people do. My own orthodontist that I'm seeing said to me, and it's over 10 years since I had my last surgery. And I said to her, I just know my nervous system is off. I've done all this work, and many would say I have a regulated nervous system, but something's off. And that's why I learned about the tongue tie. And she said to me, I've just made peace with it. Like people bump into me and I like cringe. And I was like, how have you just made peace with that? But that's the thing. So many of us just make peace with it and become complacent. And that was never going to be me. I'm not taking this diagnosis laying down, or I have no other fucking option but to figure out what else might be able to help me.
Yeah. And how these are like spiritual little clues for you to follow if you have the curiosity and the bravery.
Yeah. It's like we are our own greatest puzzle.
Yeah.
And
Isn't that the
we
truth?
talked about this before, like we're our own greatest puzzle. I want to figure out this mystery. We get so involved with stories, celebrities, what's happening on this reality show. We live in this society where we're so involved in what's outside of us. Like you are the greatest show on earth.
Exactly. We always say that. We're in our own movies. Pay attention to your story and your movie. Like you're the star of it.
Yeah, it is an opportunity for you to get curious and look. I just have one other question, Lauren, about you keep saying you were guided. What does that look like for you? Are you literally getting a download from your guides? Are you hearing voices? Are you just inspired? Like, what is that?
It's so funny because I feel like I always say I was guided and then people ask me what it means and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just guided. I don't know. And it's your intuition. It's this knowing, right? Like you're walking down the street and you can either go left or right. And there's this moment where something inside of you is, you know what, I need to go to the right. And then you go to the right and you bump into someone you haven't seen and you're so happy to bump into them. And it really is ultimately that. It's just your inner compass that's taking you in a direction. And if I'm guided to go to the right and then I go to the left anyway, like my whole body will feel weird. And then I'll probably turn around and go to the right because that was the direction I was meant to go in the whole time.
I love that because I think so many people grapple with that a bit. Is it my intuition? Is it my conscience? Which way do I really need to go? And I love how your story has shown you that the journey that you actually ultimately went on was because you were guided.
We all are. I think that the other part of this conversation that I hope people are listening, every single person listening or watching right now has your own inner compass. We are not more special than you. This is why we have these conversations. And I think, Lauren, you are putting it in a way that is extremely accessible and relatable to people. And I really think you are going to get through to so many people because of the way you're able to communicate this. And I hope everyone listening starts to trust themselves because you have it. To me, it's about stop giving your power away by being distracted by everything else out there. It doesn't mean that you don't want to be entertained and so forth. There's a healthy way of doing that. But it's like you have to also turn everything inside and really start to feel
Exactly. How does that make you feel? If
Yeah.
you get some diagnosis or something happens to you, and I have to stop myself very often from saying it is what it is. Because
Yes, you do, Karen.
that's the way it's just, okay, now let's go on to the other thing versus that's the clue. That's
Yes,
right
that's the
there. It's like,
clue.
how does when you say it is what it is make you feel? It's like, all right, whatever. As opposed to, I got to figure out what this is. There's got to be something to this. That feels empowering. That feels like there's a maybe that I haven't discovered yet. And
Yeah.
I think that's the difference.
Be
Yeah,
curious.
giving yourself like that choice and empowering yourself. It's not, it is what it is. It's funny. That's like totally a saying I grew up with. Yeah, it is what it is. C'est la vie. C'est la vie was a
I
very
love
big one. C'est la vie. What are you going to do? And I'm going to do whatever the fuck I can. I'm going to do whatever I'm guided to do because I am the star of this show and I get to decide where this circus is going.
Exactly. Is there one non-negotiable for you on a daily basis that keeps you in energetic alignment that you can share that other people may want to check out for
I
themselves?
think on the most like small scale, you don't need to buy anything, you don't need to do anything, is number one, going for walks is key for me, especially with my dog. My dog and I are like super connected. So going for walks with my dog is key. But if I'm not with him, making sure I go for walks for myself and take a moment to connect with nature. If I can leave my phone at home and I don't need it, I will. I talk to the trees that live by me, and that is really a non-negotiable and typically how I start my days. And then at the end of the day, it's really important for me to shower before bed to make sure I'm rinsing off any energy. And this is something one of my closest friends, who's an incredible healer and body worker, her name is Gabrielle Joyce, shout out Gabby. And she once said to me, and it really stuck with me, if you're around people all day, or even if you go to dinner and you're like, I just went to dinner, I showered before dinner, and then I came home, you are still around all those people in the restaurant. And that energy is around you. And do you want to get into bed with all of those people? And I was like, no, I do not. No, I don't. And I don't want to. So making sure that I rinse off at the end of the day, even if it's just my body and not my hair, because that's like a whole other journey, just making sure I do that is really a non-negotiable. I'm no longer, I have to wake up and meditate and do certain things and tap 10 times. Like, we're all living in a human experience. So I think the more we can integrate things to simply live versus I have to do all these tools or I cannot function, that becomes its own addiction and its own journey for healing. But listen, on a great day, I'd love to do an hour and a half of Kundalini in the morning and journal a little and drink my bone broth. And those days happen. And also, if I could just get in a walk and make sure I shower at night, thank God.
I love that.
Are you tuned in to your own self enough that when you do feel off, you can tell what chakra it is?
1000%. It was Sunday. I didn't shower before bed Sunday night because I wasn't really around people. And I woke up Monday morning and was like, why do I feel weird? Like, why do I just feel off? And I was still around people because I walked my dog. I wasn't thinking about, oh, you were picking up all the energy in Miami while you're out for your walk for your dog. I was just being lazy and tired at a long few days and just wanted to go to sleep. So I immediately could feel that I felt off. But what's interesting is I didn't deal with it then. I was like, okay, let's see like how we can shift your energy. But like ultimately I knew what would shift it. But sometimes my like human design, my 3-5 martyr heretic is what else can I do? Like where else am I feeling things? Because sometimes really want to experience that feeling of being off because it's so far into me also that I'm like, oh my God, how did I used to function at these levels when they're not even that off now? So yeah, I typically will know when something's off and sometimes I won't fix it right away. And sometimes I'll allow myself to be in my shit, typically because I know I'm about to learn something from it too.
Yeah. You're willing to be in the discomfort.
Oh my God. I have to remember to come back to the comfort because it's so easy for me to dive in and do the healing. I'm getting ready for prenatal yoga teacher training that starts on Saturday. And I had this experience this morning where I stabbed myself. I was closing a drawer and I stabbed my thumb with a fork.
Oof.
And I couldn't even look down because I felt that it really went into my thumb. So I didn't even look down, and I was very much, okay, just pull it out, take a deep breath. You're fine, don't worry about it. And I pulled it out. I don't know how deep it was or wasn't, but my thumb wasn't really even bleeding, but I could see it was punctured. And I sat down and I asked myself, why is this coming up? Why did I just puncture my thumb? And what I was thinking about when it happened was, why do I still have these weird thoughts around food and wanting to hide food when I just wrote about this in my book? What is actually coming up? What is coming up right now? And I started talking to my thumb, and what came up was that I was a thumb sucker when I was a baby. And I was like a thumb sucker longer than you should be a thumb sucker. So I was like, okay, what is this trying to tell me? And that was truly my first way of finding comfort until I was told at some point, you can't suck your thumb anymore. So then I started reaching, right? For food is our first thing as children. Oh, I could find comfort in this. So it was this really interesting moment because I'm getting ready for prenatal teacher training. So I'm allowing all the things that I know want to surface and show themselves to me surface. And sometimes that can be a very uncomfortable puncture wound because we need to wake up. There's something trying to show itself to us, but we can't see it yet. So as I go into this training and my tongue tie release and my own rebirth, I could see why it's all happening and how it's all connected.
You have to stop yourself in that moment instead of just brushing it off and moving it.
Yeah.
I couldn't be okay with this was not here to teach me something.
Because it hurts so much.
This is bad. Like you just put a fork through your thumb, but it's not bleeding. So something's teaching you something here.
Wow.
What I did, actually, I'll share this. Once I realized it was that, I need to suck my thumb. What does that even feel like? Because when's the last time anyone tried to suck?
That's right.
So I was like, okay, like this is how you suck your thumb. And I put my thumb in my mouth and I realized how soothing it was because my thumb was at the roof of my mouth and I could breathe through my nose properly, which is exactly what I don't have because of my tongue tie. So this is essentially what I'm going to start feeling. And I was like, oh my God, this is so peaceful. And I've worked to get to a place of peace. And now it's like the next level of it.
Wow, it's aligning. And what's incredible, as you were saying, it's going to help your nervous system, but it's like this alignment with all that you do energetically. Also, from a physical standpoint, as a human, you also need to be in alignment, which you are not, apparently.
And the remembering as a child, you reaching for that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
The reason that you were actually doing that. I just feel like that's going to be a story in your next book.
I cannot wait. Cannot wait to be on that journey with you as well. And thank you. You have shared so much today, and your book is such an invitation for people to really dive into their own journeys as well as learn from yours. Thank you for being brave enough and courageous enough to share it all in this really beautiful and fun book, honestly. Yeah. And so I know you've mentioned throughout the conversation different ways people can work with you. And we're going to have links to your website, laurencourtneyheals.com. We'll have a link to the book on Amazon. Anything else that you want to?
Yeah, the ways to work with me right now are the one-on-one glow up sessions, which of course we talked about that you did, as well as my glow up portal community where we meet twice a month on the first Monday and the third Monday every month at 8 p.m. for about 75 minutes. We go through an energetic healing, upgrade, transmutation. It really depends on the energy that's going on collectively at that time, what we're going to do. It's similar to a one-on-one session, obviously at a much more affordable rate. So it's $88 a month. You get the 2 live calls and access to a library of around 42 sound healings from the chakras to the auras and the organs and business, which I mentioned. And there's a Facebook group, so you can be in community and feel less alone on your spiritual journey. Those are like really the main 2 ways to work with me. If you're based in Miami, I teach Kundalini yoga on Fridays at Fresh Prana Yoga. So you could come connect with me in person. I do work with clients doing 1 week intensives. You won't see it on my website, so you can reach out and find out more. Other than that, those are the big things
Awesome.
at the moment. If you have a restaurant and want to collaborate with some chakra chef recipes, I'm starting to do that in June.
But fun.
And I know we're going to be doing some more work together in the future as well. We're so grateful to be connected and to share all that you're doing. So thank you.